Let's chat.
It's hard.
Do you want to talk?
I know, that's disappointing.
Sit back. Let's work this
How's
out.
it going?
What are we doing here? Where are you going? Hey there. Wow. It's not always easy. It's amazing if you think about it. Let's think about this. Strange. I have some thoughts about that. Life is hard. Trauma bonded.
This was what Stephen Boatwright calls an empathy challenge for me.
Good. It's good to have an empathy challenge for you.
I agree. It is. I just have no idea what it's like to be a parent, no idea what it's like to have a baby, no desire to have either. So I'm there with her and I'm listening and I'm wanting to understand. And I get it on like an intellectual level, but as far as like feeling the feels, the only thing what really resonated with me personally was when she talked about partying in Alaska and having fun and partying in Asia and having fun.
That's when you really are like, yes. Relating.
And like
Yeah.
building these amazing memories, just being married, no fucking kids. And then after that, I'm like, I got nothing.
Good. That's good practice.
Welcome to Trauma Bonded. I'm Elly Westberg and I'm here with Therese Garcia.
Hello, hello.
And today we're discussing, this is actually happening, episode 293, What If You Believed Your Son Was Possessed? And our basic synopsis is Olivia is raised by an emotionally stunted mother, an alcoholic father in the Pacific Northwest. She meets her husband as a teenager and they grow up together and support each other as both come from unstable homes. After they marry and are stationed in Okinawa, she suddenly has the want for children. Her son's birth isn't easy, but once she gets him home, he won't sleep nor stop crying, and the same goes for her. She eventually enters a postpartum psychosis displayed by mania and delusions, believing her son might be possessed, or at the very least, demons have entered the home. And after a stint in the hospital, and with help from close friends and the Lord God, she is able to regain her health and eventually bond with her son. And full disclosure, I'm the showrunner for This Is Actually Happening, and I have the privilege to vet stories and conduct pre-interviews before they go to Whit for the final interview. And T comes in knowing nothing about anything. She comes in fresh. And this show, Trauma/Bonded, is for the listeners, a space where we can talk about each episode, digest it, and reflect on it with empathy and also a bit of levity. T, what stuck out to you as the heart of Olivia's story?
A big one for me, and we've talked about this before, with John, actually, just having that courage to share that you're having a difficult time. That's huge. And then on the other side of that, when someone has that courage to share that, to really listen, consider, validate what they're saying.
Yeah. By the way, apparently they're really coming for John on social medias, and we've had a couple comments on our own Instagram page as well. People are claiming that his story isn't as he presented it, and there's some racism there, and basically giving Whit in the show shit for giving him quote unquote a platform, and that he would quote unquote profit from having such a platform. We're going to respond to it properly in our comments episode, which is going to be a bonus episode toward the end of October.
Exciting.
So we'll have some response to that and review some of your comments about it.
Let's talk about it.
I got a plug in. That's how plugs work.
I like that.
But sorry to interrupt. Yes, agreed. Totally. Did you have any other hearts?
One other heart that kind of resonated with me, but I haven't thunk it through, in my personal life enough, but and she just says, a lot of times people of faith are ignoring mental illness altogether.
Yes.
And that's something that I feel like, my family has dealt with a little.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strong point that she makes. And I think it says a lot about her that she can hold both thoughts in her head, that one, she's completely moved by God's presence in her life, and two, that she can also indict the church where they're failing. So you can do both.
Let's do both. Let's question sometimes.
Or you got to say do better. These institutions are fucking old.
I mean, at this point, again, this is great. I mean, religion really helped her.
I mean, it also did some shit to her, but
in the beginning, it helped, it helped her get out of, get some comfort,
Yeah, it gave her some peace and comfort in her life when she needed it, for sure. For sure. Starting from a young age up through going through this postpartum.
Sometimes you need that sense of community and belief system.
And a feeling of love and light coming from some other plane of existence.
Yeah. Get them when they're vulnerable, right?
His eyes on the sparrow.
I love that song.
I love it too.
What is that, Sister Act 2?
I sing because I'm happy.
I'm free. Oh, I thought you were in the second part.
I sing because I'm free.
You're a little flat.
Okay. It's a great song.
Great movie, too.
If you believe. Oh, great movie. Love that movie.
I mean, come on.
Can we do a Sister Act podcast?
Because that'd be great. That'd be awesome. Just change it up.
Or we can do a 7-part series about Sister Act and Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit.
Nice.
We could do all of this. We could sing all of the songs.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Let us know, listeners. If you want us to, we will.
My heart, T. And I think it goes hand in hand with yours. They're holding hands.
Oh.
I think the heart of Olivia's story is what she says too. It's about breaking generational trauma, and you do that by exposing it and talking openly about it and trying to understand where the hurt comes from and trying to change it. And she had like a couple really money lines, I thought, at the end with her wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
She talks about like we're a generation that has to reparent ourselves. Mm-hmm. And she talks about we are taking care of ourselves so our kids don't have to heal from us.
Oh, that was huge.
That was so brilliant. And someone has probably said that, but I'm giving Olivia credit for it. But two really important things that, I mean, in this time with so much information, so much awareness around mental illness, so much discussion about it, this is the generation that can absolutely break that cycle. And you weep for prior generations like boomers, etc., that were very much told, like, you don't talk about it, you put your head in the sand, and you just bend over and take it, and you get on with it, mm-hmm. And no one ever knows what you're dealing with. No one ever knows. You don't bring any shame to the family or yourself, and we'll carry it deep down inside, and all be fine. What do you want for dinner?
Hey, I made it.
Yeah.
What's wrong? Okay. What? Why can't they do it?
You're definitely not okay.
Yeah. Why are you attacking?
I mean, it's interesting when you get to an age where you can really look back and see in your family where certain things were finally broken. Like for me, my mother was never really like actively loved by her mother. Like there was always stability in the home as far as like everything from the outside was okay, and there was no abuse per se, but there wasn't like a huge outpouring of love, and it was never said to her. And so one way that she tried to break that cycle was with us. She wanted to make sure that she always said the words "I love you" to us. And so it seems like a small little thing, but and she didn't break everything, but that one part she was able to do. And I don't have any kids, so I can't say what I've broken. My sisters, they're very, very communicative with their kids. There's no taboo subjects. So again, it's more of doing that same work to break the sort of generational traumas.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. For me, my parents, all, full of love all the time. Right. But then, I came out when I was like 5 or something, went right back in the closet.
Yeah.
The way my mom responded. With my kids, I'm like, what? Throw it at me. What?
Yeah.
Anything. Let's talk about it. I'm open to it. We're reading books about all the things. I'm learning stuff. And I
Yeah.
just want us to let's put it out.
Yeah.
Let's put it out there and know whatever it is, I love you no matter what.
And anything they say to you, it's like no reaction, only support.
That's right. But it was clear I couldn't say
Unconditional.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess thinking about religion, everything that you did sort of that was in sin, I chose to definitely hide it to myself because of fear of shame or rejection or feeling villainized or less than. But I put that on myself. Like that didn't come from my parents. So that was part of it. And then honestly, when I did finally reveal things that I was holding in, like when I had to tell them I was getting a divorce, I thought there was going to be a big reaction to that. And they only demonstrated unconditional love and support.
Oh.
But there are little things like, for example, when I was staying with my mom in Arkansas after my dad died, I went to make myself like some sauteed spinach and an egg for like a late breakfast. And she's like, "Elly, what are you doing?" I was like, "I'm just making some breakfast." She's like, "We're about to go eat lunch." And I was like, "It's in like 3 hours." And she's like, "Yeah, but they're really big portions." And I was like, "Okay, I won't eat food now, even
I
though
won't
I'm
eat
hungry."
spinach
Yeah.
and eggs.
But what was funny about that, even though she couldn't stop herself from commenting, because of the way I reacted to her and basically showed to her how ridiculous and unreasonable and sort of cruel she was being, we were able to talk through it and have a laugh about it. And then we kept referring back to it in comedy, But if you don't have that openness or the vocabulary to say, "Mom, that's not cool," and you're just a kid, you're just going to internalize that kind of stuff. And now it's become kind of a joke, like, "Oh, she just can't hold her tongue. She's got to comment on it." And she laughs about it, but it's something as adults that we can do that isn't as easy for kids when everything's like big and scary and unsure.
There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
From the world to be a certain way.
Yeah. Let's hit some highlights of the episode. Do you want to talk about Mom's rabbit?
Oh my gosh.
I thought this was such a great anecdote to explain how her mother was.
Yeah.
The loss of this rabbit, her mother's huge emotional reaction and lashing out. But the most damage there, I think, is the fact that her mom refused to talk about it. So instead, there's just isolation, a huge emotional reaction, and then head in the sand and hide and not talk about it. And she talks about how her mother was sort of emotionally stunted or reacted like a child. And I just want to give a bit of behind the scenes
Hmm.
that adds more to the story of her mother that I think is interesting, that didn't make the edit for whatever reason, but it was additional info that was provided to us from Olivia. Um, she talks about her mom's suicide attempt was particularly traumatic because it led to her getting third-degree burns and needing skin grafts. And as she does say in the episode, her mom never talks about it. I mean, can you imagine your mom goes through something like this and there's never a word uttered to you about it, never presented to you that what mom's going through and it's going to be okay. So she mentions that her mom's sister ran away, but we don't get
Mm-hmm.
any details around that. So, and I'm reading from the email from Olivia, so this is in her words. She says that they literally never saw her again. She was missing for 16 years. They hired private investigators, even had to look at Jane Doe's photos to see if it was her. And this was during the 70s and the 80s in Seattle. So it was a terrifying time to have a child missing. And the next time they heard from her, she was on her deathbed in a hospital in Las Vegas, and she called out of the blue. And so her mom's parents, so Olivia's grandparents, immediately flew down to see her, but she passed away before they got there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Olivia is saying this helps paint a picture of the loss my mom carried when I was growing up and still does to this day.
Wow.
She's also got this dad who's alcoholic and verbally abusive. And, she mentions that she has depression that really expresses itself in her teen years, of course, cutting, burning, attempted suicide. Here's what I want to know. How were they homeschooled? Who was doing the homeschooling?
Yeah.
Even if your mother is emotionally sort of stunted like that, she could still have a capacity to teach her children, but it just feels like such a sort of volatile environment. It doesn't feel like a presence of an education would be there, kind of blows the mind.
I mean, why would they even decide to homeschool?
It's probably more of like maybe a freedom thing or a rejection of an institution than
Hmm.
it is like a desire to teach, but that's just a guess. Do you have anything you want to say about her childhood?
The rabbit story still
Yeah.
kills me. She just leaves for 4 days, comes back with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine from anyone's perspective, even the mom, like, what's going on there? Like, we're supposed to, she's like burying it, but then it comes out somehow, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In the form of a sledgehammer.
The sadness and the shame that puts on Olivia is just devastating.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing this woman have these big emotional reactions to something that was essentially your fault, and no
Mm-hmm.
one's talking to you about it. No one's telling you, don't worry about it. It's not your fault. Things
Yeah.
happen. This is nature. This is life. No one's saying these words to her.
You're
So
just
she's just
blaming yourself.
internalizing this. Yeah. What a terrible burden to carry around as a kid. Like, not only am I hurt and I'm having this reaction because I lost my bunny, but I'm not going to expressly say it. I'm just going to passive aggressively and aggressively make it clear that I am angry about this, violently angry about this.
Yeah.
Her mother is so dramatic too. I mean, the suicide attempt,
Yeah.
and then again, we don't say a word about it.
Can you imagine?
No. No.
I mean, talk about an elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And then my mom would be like, oh, she's just immature. Just immature. Like, no, I think she needs
It's
help.
strange. Yeah.
Yeah. Bit of a weirdo. The weird one in the fam.
But this, I mean, I think this is a thing about that generation is you didn't talk about stuff. You slowly grew resentment toward your spouse, and then you just get divorced, and then you're just adding onto the pile of all of the heartache in the household. You're just adding more trauma to the pile.
Now there's 2
Because
households that are totally disturbed.
fucked. Yeah. I've already touched on this a little bit, but I will never, ever, ever understand that urge. When did you know that you definitely wanted to have kids? And sub-question, when did you know that you didn't want to be the one to birth them?
I've known that since from the beginning. But I was back and forth with the whole kid thing, back and forth, back and forth. When I was younger, I was like, for sure. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what people do, right?
Right.
But then as I got
Convention.
older, I was like, I need my freedom and not have all this responsibility. And how are you going to take care of another person? I can hardly manage this guy, you know?
Yeah.
But then I was like, yeah. And then I was like, no. And then, you know, when Gwen and I got together, we talked about it a lot. And we actually went back and forth too, because we were like in the whole travel. We were going to Asia.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They're like, this is awesome. Maybe we don't want kids, you know?
Yeah.
But I think we just like decided we wanted to spread the love, you know? I mean, we've had those talks like, oh man, if we didn't have kids, we could be
I'd be on your boat right now.
We'd be on our boat, we'd be smoking cigs, you know. You know.
I like how that's like high on the list of what else.
It's up there. Boats and cigs.
Boats and cigs. Cigs on boats.
Yeah, cigs on boats, nothing better than that. So we're still back and forth.
Been.
We're still a bit back and forth, but now we got him. So it's the best thing ever at this point.
And yeah, it's awesome. I mean,
it's not, like she says, it's not sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah. You know, I was the original child free. I feel like, I mean, they didn't have a name for it back then.
Oh, gee.
When I expressed it. In fact, everyone was just like, what? Elly? You know, when I have kids, I'm like, no. My 12-year-old
That'll change. That'll change.
Well, you want to have at least one. No. I don't know.
It's so cool to just be a cool aunt.
I mean, I didn't even think that far of it. It was just like, you know, when you're a teenage girl, preteen girl, you talk about what your future going to look like. And I just, when asked in the moment to think about it, I didn't want it.
You weren't thinking like, I want my friend to have one so then I can bring them gifts.
No, I wasn't thinking about it at all. I'm just like, why would I want to take care of one of those? You know, and that just always stuck with me. And I'm not a anti-natalist. You know, I recognize that children must be born and generations must carry on or whatever.
We were children. We were children.
I know. And Scott, my partner now, he doesn't want it, which is great because I don't think I could anyway. But he actively made the choice to not have kids because of mental illness in his own family, and which is kind of the lazy way of breaking the cycle.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's another way of breaking the cycle. Good for him.
Yeah,
recognizing it.
Yeah, to recognize it is a big deal. Yeah. Can we talk about her wanting this natural home birth?
She's all over the place, this one.
What is the romantic idea around all the natural home birthing stuff? I'm going to be
well, let's not be judgmental.
I'm going to have no, I really want to understand it.
Oh, you want to know? Yeah. I thought because you were making a face. No one can see her face.
It's weird. It's weird to me. I'm going to
see that. See, you are saying it is. You are kind of
I'm going to be at home and I'm going to have a doula and I'm going to be in a pool. And I'm not going to have any drugs and it's just going to slide right on out of me. And it's going to be nature. It's going to be as close to nature as I can be. And I'm going to feel this like big thing with the universe. And it's just so romanticized. It's dangerous to have a baby. So many women have died over
I don't know the
millennia.
stats. I don't want to touch these. Do your research,
that's a real
Elly.
thing. I mean,
yeah.
It's incredibly dangerous. You're squeezing out a thing out of a little hole, and a lot can go wrong.
The hole gets bigger.
I get it, but it takes some effort, and even then, you still got to really push it out.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for my money, if I was going to go through this, I'd want to put me in a bed in a hospital with lots of like trained professionals around, give me the drugs, give me, I'll sleep through the whole thing. In fact, and then just, patch me up at the end. Like I'll get my whole close to God and nature and the universe thing, like from having the baby handed to me.
When the baby's here.
Yeah. But like, I don't know that I need to experience the pushing and the tearing and
well, they try to make it not with the tearing.
The afterbirth and the
But
well, where did this romantic idea of it come from? Is it just like, I'm supposing maybe it's something to do with like the sterility of the hospital environment. It's like you have like 7-Eleven lighting and stuff, whereas at home you can just like have your regular.
No, you can have it dark in the
lighting.
hospital.
Well, I mean years ago, like when we were born in hospitals, it wasn't like it was like 7-Eleven. Now they have like these birthing suites where they, try to make it as if you are home and it's dim and all that shit. But like, I mean, that's what must be where the romance of birthing a baby. I don't even know I'm talking about it. It's not, I'm not their audience. So I'll never understand it. That is my empathy challenge.
Oh, yes. There's also, we read a book and I don't know anything about it really, but there's been instances apparently when the mom might like, in order to not feel as much pain, is to have like an orgasm as it's happening or around then.
What?
Which doesn't seem
like clitoral
easy to do. I don't know.
I can't.
But yeah, but one thing I've heard is some people think like the use of drugs makes it so you're not as connected with your baby as it's happening, or there's some thought there.
No, I know.
Why not to do it?
Okay, let's move on. So she doesn't get her romantic home birth. In fact, she gets a 3 days labor and a C-section, and she has this baby. He wouldn't sleep. He wouldn't stop crying. She couldn't sleep. She's got mood swings. And I think, there's this really scary part around this all. And she says this too, like she doesn't know what is normal. And she keeps seeking advice from professionals, doctors, mental health care, and they're not giving her any answers. So she's just like existing in her brain. And
hey, just breathe. Take a walk. Take a bath.
Walking. And this is how this psychosis can start to enter in. It's like you are taxed from all angles. You don't have sleep. Your hormones are all over the place. And add in the element if you have no support or very little support. And you're feeling so low because of shame and not feeling like you can pull it off. These are when these mood swings turn to mania.
And you're not feeling like that bonded to the baby
Yeah.
where, everyone always believes, oh, yeah, 100% love as soon as it happens,
Yeah. Yeah. And to feel like you're not in touch with that has got to be so scary, because what is normal? And I was talking to Whit about this just to sort of hear his thoughts about the episode. And to him, the most interesting thing about the episode was this idea of what do we do when someone's mind is hijacked, right?
Yeah.
Because how can you tell? And that's what her thing was. What was normal? I was expecting a certain level of baby blues, but what is normal? What's not? When am I not myself anymore? And I've entered some other extreme realm. We also mentioned the fragility of the human experience, especially when something comes so out of the blue like that. Like, how do we make sense of it? How do we assign responsibility? And when she empathizes with mothers who kill their kids, that will probably bring controversy.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And Whit also, he talks about an empathy challenge for us all for this episode. And we're going to get to those women. We're going to do a
Yes.
little deep dive about those women. Did you have anything else to add in that vein?
No, let's go to demons.
Hey,
Oh,
we just wanted
yeah.
to call you and let you know that we're having like a really tough time with the new baby, and we need help.
Yeah. Well, I can just tell you it's demons.
Oh.
Demons. And they're possessed. And they're in the
Oh.
house.
Oh.
Could be you. Could
Oh.
be, I don't know, someone in the house.
Oh. I hadn't considered that. I was
It's definitely
just
demons. You should have,
Oh.
yeah, take the Bible
Oh,
and
okay.
do what you do.
Carry it around.
Carry it around.
Well, but maybe I'm just sleep
Okay, I'll see you
deprived.
later then.
Okay, thanks.
Good luck to you.
Well, thanks. See you at Christmas. And scene. I mean, I don't want to come for his parents, but I think we should come for him a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, it's just another, the doctor's saying, like, go take a walk.
Yeah.
This one's
I
like,
mean,
well, it's demons for sure.
and the most fucked up about that is she hadn't considered that, right? So she's just expressing that she's having a tough time and she needs a bit of help. And now they've added to her pile of tough times that it might be something demon related. And it could be possession, and it could be it, and we don't know who's got the possession.
Is
It
it
could be
you?
this new son, it could be
Is it me?
you, it could be
Could be the kid.
your drunk mom was there, maybe it was her,
She brought it. She probably
she
brought
brought
it.
it, and she like imprinted on an object in the house. And all those dark, tall, pointy shadows you're seeing, that's definitely not from your sleep deprivation. That's probably like
Yeah.
demon related.
That's
Okay,
them.
bye.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
This is where I think religion didn't help.
Yeah, definitely not. And to me, this is what really broke this psychosis wide open.
Oh.
Because when you're dealing with principalities of darkness, that's some major shit. That's not just like, let's figure out how to make this baby stop crying and like get you some support. Like, that's dealing with some major, major shit. And it's all on you. You figure it out. You root it out. What object could it be? Oh, what of a Christmas tree? It's pagan. And it just blows my mind. And no one's helping her. No one's helping her.
Did husband believe it was demons too?
She doesn't really say. So this breaks her wide open. She ends up on her knees reading the Bible while the baby's
Oh my
crying.
gosh.
The fuck?
Oh my
And
god.
this is like when
That
it
picture
becomes
of
like,
her. Yeah.
yeah, this is something out of a movie. Like
Yeah.
this is like some exorcist shit or something.
Yeah.
And her friend shows up and she calls him Satan and she starts rebuking him in the name of Jesus. I mean, it's really something out of a movie. She goes to the ER. She's reading the Bible loud and proud. She's crawling around on her hands and knees like she's the possessed one, crawling underneath those little room dividers because
Yeah.
the hospital cell. This is truly the psychotic break when it
I mean, if
breaks
anyone's
wide open.
possessed at that point, I mean, I would go towards her and not the
Yeah,
kid.
yeah,
If you try and identify who it could. Kid's like, it ain't me.
yeah.
Just so you know, it's definitely not me.
But, because of the Bible influence in addition, now she's read about Abraham and Isaac, and now she's starting to get into her head uh killing a kid could be a thing that could be done. And this is where she says that she doesn't remember if she has an urge to harm her children. She can't remember, but it's possible.
She's
And
deep. She's deep in it.
she's deep in it.
So,
And when she and I also want to say one more behind the scenes tidbit that wasn't expressly mentioned in the episode. She talks about in the hospital that second night that she was there was a woman that was admitted who was also psychotic, and she was singing hymns and yelling Bible verses, and so that just amplified her own
oh my gosh.
delusions.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's talk about a few famous cases of when postpartum psychosis wasn't caught early on and what happened with these poor women and families. The one that when Olivia contacted us, she mentioned specifically the most recent one in recent memory is
Mhm.
Lindsay Clancy. Are you
Mhm.
familiar with that one?
I am, yeah. That one's
This happened in
awful.
January 2023. Uh, she was charged with killing her 3 young children, and it cast a spotlight on postpartum psychosis again, which is a little discussed condition that experts say is often compounded by shame and guilt. And Dr. Philip Resnick, a professor of psychiatry at Case Western Reserve University, says women who have a baby are expected in our society to love that baby immediately. If someone has postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis, they may not feel the natural maternal feelings. Then they feel guilty and are reluctant to even tell their husband or their obstetrician or pediatrician about their feelings.
Lindsay Clancy did seek help.
Well, and also, she was on leave from her job as a labor and delivery nurse. So she
Mhm.
was, and she had shared on social media about her struggles with anxiety and new motherhood.
The whole thing with that's just awful.
It's terrible. So that's the kind of the most recent one. The one that I thought about immediately is the one I kind of remember from when we were younger. It happened in 2001. Do you remember the name Andrea Yates?
No.
She was a mother in Texas that drowned her 4 children. 5 children. She drowned her 5 children.
Yeah.
Um, she truly believed in her psychosis that killing the children was in their best interest. So I will say that so in 2001 she was originally convicted as a murderer, but then in 2006 her conviction was overturned, and Yates was found not guilty by reason of insanity, and she was sent to a state hospital where she remains to this day. And this is something that's talked about in the little research I did, is that we should be acknowledging postpartum psychosis as a legit insanity defense. It's not something first-degree murder was premeditated, and it should be treated as such. But people have such an aversion to an insanity defense that it's hard. A lot of states don't have these sorts of laws on their books. And this leads me to a case, Carol Coronado in 2014 in the state of California. And there's this really excellent California report, KQAD.org, or KQAD does the California report. And this is from 2020, and I highly recommend seeking it out and listening to it. It's about a 28-minute listen. And the title of it is "She Killed Her Children. Can We Forgive Her?" And it talks specifically about what she happened, and she killed her 3 daughters and then, turned the knife on herself, but she did live through it. And there are these voicemails that they play that she had left for her own mother, like the day before, and they're just so devastating. They're so desperate. She left one desperate message after another. "Mommy, please call me. Please, please, please. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm hungry." Crying and rambling until the voicemail system cuts her off. And by the 6th message, she sounds spent and she just says, "Mom, please call me. I love you. Bye." And that afternoon, she murdered all of her children. And this was in 2014, but she was still convicted as a murderer, and she is serving 3 back-to-back life sentences. The first time that her husband and her ever heard of postpartum psychosis was after she was taken to jail. And doctors later told them that Carol's break from reality was caused by hormonal changes from her last pregnancy, lack of sleep, and relentless cycle of breastfeeding and caring for 3 babies under 3.
Ooh.
Now, the reason that we have such a tough time with the insanity defense in this country is and this same article that I'm talking about, or this listen that I'm recommending, also goes into this a little bit, which I thought was really, really fascinating. I'll talk about it really quickly. So in 1981, when John Hinckley Jr. fired multiple gunshots in his attempt to assassinate President Ronald Reagan, Hinckley, 25, said he was in love with the actress Jodie Foster, and he was convinced that she would fall in love with him if he killed the president. And psychiatrists said Hinckley had schizophrenia, and the jury found him not guilty by reason of insanity, and he spent the next 30 years in a psychiatric hospital. And Americans were outraged. The day after the verdict, 83% said justice had not been done. And lawmakers from 38 states rewrote their insanity laws to ensure that another Hinckley would not get off. Okay? And then another case that adds to that feeling too was in California, and this is why California isn't very as progressive as a state it claims to be. California had its own version of the Hinckley case a few years prior to that, in 1978, when Dan White climbed through a window in San Francisco City Hall and shot and killed Mayor George Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk. And this is what we hear about, the famous Twinkie defense. White's lawyer argued that what would from then on be remembered as the infamous Twinkie defense. He said White suffered from depression and made him periodically obsessed with junk food, which compromised his capacity to understand or control what he was doing. And the jury found White guilty of manslaughter rather than murder and sentenced him to 8 years in prison. And San Francisco erupted in fucking riots. So it's these sorts of experiences with insanity defenses that make it particularly hard, and depending on what state you're in, to sort of pull off this postpartum psychosis as an insanity defense. And it's just we just have this fucked up view in the judicial system of these women that go through this as being perceived as villains or monsters. They're committing murder. And we're especially hard on women, and we're especially hard on mothers, because we expect them to have an extra duty of care to their children. And it's hard not to perceive them as evil, that they could kill their own children. But we have to ask ourselves, how are they living one day, raising their kids, by all accounts, taking care of their kids, and then all of a sudden they're just murdering them? Like, where did the planning and want to murder them come from? I mean, all of these cases that I'm talking about, the seeds or the obviousness that it was PPP was apparent. These women are not monsters. They're taken over. They're hijacked by something else. And it's not demons. It is very scientific. And we as much as we love to be mad at people that harm children, we do have to have a level of grace and understanding for these women, I think.
For sure. And we can do things to help prevent the effects. Like with Olivia, she was able to recognize what was happening and get some help.
Right. And she didn't have that end that we were just talking about. So one thing we didn't talk about was they get through this terrible time in their life with their son, and they get pregnant again. It's a bit, I mean, I don't want to be judgmental, but it's a bit unnerving, and it feels a little irresponsible. But then again, you could argue that because they've gone through something before, they are definitely equipped to deal with the potential of something happening. So I can't really judge them for that.
Well, in retrospect, it worked out.
Yeah.
Right? But really, what I'm thinking was because they're religious, they're probably not using protection.
I mean, who does?
I don't have to, so.
Me neither.
Dude, if you got pregnant, have you gone through
the change?
The change?
No.
I don't know. Let me just do a PSA. Let me just do a quick PSA. I don't even know. They don't tell you when it happens, what happens.
Yeah, people really don't talk about it.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm asking you, as an older person, it hasn't
long
happened
in their cycle.
Hasn't happened yet?
No, it hasn't happened yet. I mean,
when is it going to happen?
It's the thing that I probably blame things on now. Like, if I just get hot, all of a sudden I'm like, this must be what a heat flash feels like.
Yeah.
But I think I would know more. Like, I don't think it's happening.
Yeah.
And then there's this whole idea of being perimenopausal.
Yeah.
Like or something.
That's what I'm saying. How's that?
I mean, I don't know.
Peri?
I don't think so. I don't go to the doctor though. So.
Oh, would they know?
I think it's something they can diagnose, but
I can see your levels.
As far as like, cycles go, I'm still really regular, and because I already have bitchy tendencies, it's hard to know where the hormones begin and end. All right, what else you got? Wait, well, how did you feel? How did you feel about her having another kid?
I thought they were really responsible about it.
Yeah.
I mean, what I assumed was because I don't use protection, that it's going to happen at some point. But what they did do was anticipate. Whenever she felt a weird feeling, they dealt with it.
I guess I want to make this point or ask this question as a person that doesn't have children. Like, the love that you get from a kid must be so fucking incredible that you would go through that experience and then even... Okay, if you're a Christian, you're probably not going to abort it.
That's what I was saying.
But
they're not going
to be open to dealing with it again, with the potential that it could happen again, like, that's how good that kid love is. That's not what I meant. You know what I mean? Like that whole, when people talk about like, once you have a kid, life's different. You can't imagine that kind of love and da, da, da. Like, it must be incredible to subject yourself to the potential of feeling so disconnected from yourself again, just to bring this kid into the world.
Well, according to them, maybe is that they didn't have a choice. They got pregnant because they don't use protection.
And they don't, yeah.
And then once you get pregnant, you can't abort it.
You're not going to abort it, yeah.
So you just roll with the punches. And yeah, if you're able to, I mean, they didn't assume that it would happen again. They hoped it wouldn't.
If you were a woman that went through the experience that she went through, no matter your religious affiliation, and again, I'm not judging, I'm just asking questions, and she should be able to do whatever the fuck she wants. But if it were me and I went through that experience, I would make goddamn sure I was using protection so I wouldn't have another kid and it wouldn't happen again. And that might be that they might have been too. I mean, you can still get pregnant, you know?
Yeah.
It's not 100% foolproof. But you're really putting yourself, like, the potential of putting yourself through something traumatic again, that would ward me off having another one.
That's a huge risk. You don't want to feel that again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That love must be fucking amazing. All right,
I mean, they're pretty freaking awesome. You can hear them now, probably.
Yeah.
Yelling.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Elly's over at my house.
We're together.
We finally reunited after 4 months.
It's been 4 months.
And yeah, she's over the house now.
And we've never recorded in person together before. It's kind of a big deal.
It's been an hour. She's been here and she's over the kids. Just kidding. Just kidding. Loves the kids.
Love those kids.
Because they're not hers.
Exactly. Right. I've already been sneezed on, coughed
oh my God.
on, sniffled
on. It
on.
was a beautiful moment. Like, Rex never hugs anyone, and he was full on nuzzling your neck, hugging.
Yeah.
And then he coughed in your face. And if anyone knows Elly, she is kind of, I've been on a bit of a germaphobe when it comes to that.
Well, I expect to have Ebola tomorrow.
Yeah, probably.
By the time I wake up.
Yeah, I'm fine. I take it.
Kid germs are potent.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
Did you talk about all the things you wanted to talk about?
Let me see. If I were the friends,
they got
husband,
called. Yeah.
And everything's all good now.
Yeah.
And it's fine. I'd feel kind of awkward.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, but I hope that they're close enough friends, and it sounds like they are, because I believe when she says that
they
friends took care of their son for them, I'm sure it was these same friends. I bet they have a really good laugh about it now. Yeah. That is my hope.
I hope so too. You're right. And that's like family right there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for listening. This has been an episode of Trauma Bonded. You can find our show where podcasts are kept. If you like us, please rate and review us on Apple or other places, or reach out on Instagram and tell us what you really think of us. We don't need ego stroking per se, but kind words do really mean a lot to us.
What's up, Jamie?
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks to Olivia for sharing their story and giving us the opportunity to talk about it. Thanks to the This Is Actually Happening team, including Whit, Missildine, and Andrew Waits, and the maker of our music and website, Nathaniel Trimboli. Thanks to Cathy Sitzes for editing the episode, and to Katie Capel for building those blasted Instagram posts. It's funny. You can contact us at traumabondedpod@gmail.com and find us on Instagram at traumabondedpodofficial, or visit our website at traumabondedpod.com. As a reminder, we will have a bonus comments episode toward the end of the month where we can discuss listener comments about the episode and address certain things that y'all are talking about. Also, we will have our first TIAH storyteller follow-up this month, so look for that. We are trauma/bonded to the story, to the storyteller, to the listeners, and to each other. Thanks for spending time with us today. Love you, Elly.
Love you, T.
Good job. Hey, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Trauma bonded.